on the dock with Pastor Troy here. We're in the studio again. We got a great one for you coming up here, and we're all about it. We are going to have a good time. I know we got a guest here. I'll introduce him in a minute. I can see Daniel. Daniel was looking at the video. He's watching our commercial coming in. Don't you hate it when you're a preacher and you go someplace? You always analyze the preaching. It's hard to enjoy preaching. I'm sure when you're a musician, you go someplace, you always analyze the music and go, "That's hard to do that." That guitar player came in late. Poor thing is, Lucas is in trouble this whole entire episode. Every time we run a clip, Daniel's thinking, "I could do that better." So he can. So we'll be expecting some sort of new intro soon. Yeah, and he can do it better. So we'll have to get him on it. Now, he can't do that song any better because, man, we are on the dock right now. We're having a good time. OnTheDock.org releases every Tuesday and Thursday. You guys know we're all about conversations that propel your faith out of the shallows and into the deep. And you can find us on multiple platforms. Those platforms primarily use YouTube. Gosh, someday maybe we'll get enough people to watch us so we can actually get some money. Spotify and iTunes as well. Google Play. You guys are getting close to that on the Cedar Sessions. I know that. Google Play, Facebook. Hey, y'all need to promote On the Dock on your Cedar Sessions. That will help us out, help you out.
Well, if we get a sponsorship of barbecue.
Yeah, I would do that. I will do that. Dude. Google Play, Facebook, Roku, Rumble. Roku, you got to download the Sermonette app and find the On the Dock channel. Rumble as well, Sermonette. We're on five different social media sites: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Telegram, and Getter. We're there. And when you find us, please hit subscribe, hit like, notify, tell other people, harass your friends until they start watching On the Dock, because you never know, you might be on the dock with us. So we'd love to have you. And you can go to Patreon. Patreon is our partnership site. If you would like to be a partner, an advertiser with us, there's 4 platforms. There's also 3 levels of sponsorships. You can just help us with resources, and that helps us do more and better shows, and maybe even pay somebody like Daniel to do us a better intro. So we would love to have that. At onthedock.org, you can go to that site and find all of our links to get to all of our sites, including Patreon, all the different platforms. You can get there. If you give up, just email us at info@onthedock.org. And our executive producer, director. Which one is she? She's director. Our executive director, Donna Kornewski, she will get you straightened out, and we're glad to be here. We got a great show for you. We're getting in season 2 here. We are excited about what's coming up. And on the deck here, I've got with me, next to me, I got Mother Beth in the background. She's on the bench right now. She's back in the bench in the deep areas. She might scream in here or holler at something if she gets crazy right now. I mean, she got to the set. Her alarm went off we saw it go off at 9:15. We had a curtain call at 9. It's 9:30, and her alarm goes off saying, "Well, I'm just supposed to be here now." I'm thinking, man, there's something wrong with that alarm setting. Only Mother Beth could reason to have the alarm to remind her to get here and know that she's already 20 minutes late. But it's my bride for so many years, and this is why our marriages remain strong. I'm very thick-skinned, and I can take the beatings.
Daniel, you should learn.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Right next to me in the seat, right next to me is a co-host, Ben Ottolini. Ben, how you doing, brother?
Oh man, I think we're just off to a great start.
Yeah, we're gonna rip roar today. So thanks for joining us. We're in our Worship Leader of Southern Illinois series. It's an On the Dock Season 2 Super Series. Super. Wilderness Cooking. Go watch Wilderness Cooking on YouTube. They're probably monetized. They get lots of views. Go see them. Super. All right. We're ready to start another sub-series. We're ready to go with this one, and we've got in the studio, we're going to feature today Daniel Lopez, and we got his better half here. We'll get into all that in a minute. And he's he's kind of the heart behind these Cedar Sessions. He's got a lot of partners in it, but I didn't list a town because I know where you're from, but what you're doing is collective, and it's a Southern Illinois thing. So we just went with that. Let me give you a good picture of Daniel. This is Daniel. Daniel, Daniel. See, that's what happens when you're a professional photographer. Your brother.
I was going to say I'm going to make a challenge. I think we're already way bigger than Southern Illinois.
Oh, I think you are too. No, you're bigger. Go 3-state, tri-state region.
We're American.
I like that. America.
Cedar Sessions.
What's great is we had your brother in as a part of this, and he griped about his photo from the start. I mean, just whined it was terrible. The whining was pitiful. We asked him if he wanted cheese with that wine and all that stuff, and he whined about it. And it was this photo right off his website. I said, "This is your own problem." I said, "Secondly, your brother's photo's a lot better because he does this professionally. So you're going to have to help your brother out. Get him a better picture." Yeah, so he doesn't cry.
You got my number.
Yeah, that's
Give
right.
Me a call.
Yeah, you'd think he'd call you and ask for one because he's done so many photos for us, and we'll let him tell you a little bit about that in a minute. But Daniel, just take a moment, tell us about where you're from, tell us about what you do and what you serve, and about your purpose and mission. And in a minute we'll jump into your family and stuff and introduce your lovely wife that's here as well.
All right, cool. So I am originally born native. California was where I was born and raised. But I think I'm officially a Southern Illinois native.
You've been here long enough now?
I've been here longer than I've been in California.
Do you say fixing yet? We're fixing to go?
I say y'all.
Y'all, you're here.
Do you say wash?
Oh, I say wash.
We got to do the wash.
Yeah, so that was a beautiful experience for me to realize that I'm really connected to our region and our area. And honestly, it's been the best time of my life.
He eats barbecue like a Southerner. I've seen him eat barbecue.
I love good barbecue.
He watches a show on Netflix.
You watch the barbecue, American Barbecue? I love that. Oh yeah.
I absolutely love grilling. Maybe we could do another podcast where we talk about grilling.
We need to do that.
That would be phenomenal.
Bro.
He's into grilling.
So you're from Southern California. You got here, but you've been around here most of your life now.
Yeah.
You know, like you're kind of multidimensional. You're not worship leading at a church, even though we're doing worship leadership. Your church though that you attend is Love and Truth, correct?
Correct.
Your Love. Let me put that promo up because we had that. I got a promo on your church, Love and Truth.
Oh, that's so nice.
Yeah, his church meets at Sundays at 9. Are you on the worship platform? Do you?
I do. I serve. I lead sets, but the majority of the time I'm on drums and electric guitar trying to.
We try to. He's one of the drummers we try to steal regularly, you know. So and he comes when we need him. I really do appreciate that. So,
which there's probably an off chance I'll be at your Good Friday service.
Oh man, I love that.
Let's make that an on chance.
Let's make that be there. We need you. We need to see you. Yeah, I'm ready for Good Friday. We need to do that. So he's at loveandtruthchurch.com. That's the church, 9 o'clock, 11 o'clock, double services. They have service on Wednesday. Pastor Bob and Terry Wynn, great people, great model. It's a campus model. They're a campus of a much larger network. Like our church, their church is also supporting churches overseas.
Yep.
Yes.
Very significant. We have a lot in common with that. We did a little more profile on this. If you go back and look at the Israel Lopez series, we totally focused on Love and Truth and the whole model there. But cool. I do want to give credit to the church you're serving. Great church to attend.
Yes.
Man, God bless you.
We've almost figured out that we could run over at 9, be back here at 10, and get back over at 11, and we'll just use your preacher. We'll beam him in here too. So and then
I've done that before.
Yeah, I know you have. I know you have. We appreciate that. But I think what you're probably known for right now around here is the thing called the Cedar Sessions, and we brought you in for that.
Yes.
I know you've got a whole creative ministry as
cool.
well, where you're doing video and creative video and stuff. We can talk about that. You can throw that in any time. That will cost you a Patreon sponsorship.
Sounds good.
No. But or at least maybe someday a new intro for us. But we got a shot or two of those. You just got doing one of those. How many of those Cedar Sessions you've done? It's been several now.
Well, actually, it's been a year officially. We totally didn't celebrate it, which is no big deal because it's just a year. We're just getting started. We're going to see if this thing lasts. But we've probably done like 5, 6, something like that.
Yeah.
And it's been just something that's just been growing, and it's honestly just a space for people who love to be creative and love to be original, and people who already have music that they've written, and making room for that and people to come together and really get behind what they're doing.
Let me give you a couple of shots up here. We got great shots there. This one was actually at Community Faith Church. The last one was was the last one at Love and Truth? Was it
No. The last one was at Destiny Center Church.
Destiny Center Church. Okay. Yeah, and you move them around. They're connecting with different groups and different spaces because it's about a collective. It's a collective worship experience. I saw where your Cedar Sessions, and we're going to come back and get your family, but I just want to get a little bit on this because
for sure.
Cedar Sessions is a personal and genuine, no fluff, just passion. That's what's on your Facebook site, our website. God's been speaking to our hearts about the importance of releasing a personal and original sound, which I love that. This is a step of faith in that direction, but we trust God with this, and it belongs to Him. So you're doing something fresh. You're doing something new. It's kind of moving around. It's kind of organic in a large sense, I guess.
100%.
100%.
Yeah.
Very
the
cool.
people that we've brought in are people that already have history with one another, and so oftentimes you start a new ministry, or you create something new, you have to kind of get that camaraderie between people. And we didn't have to do that. We bypassed years that people spend trying to get people on the same page. And we just bypassed that because we simply already had the friendships and the connections. And I think that's been our sweet spot right now, is that we're going after people we already have a connection to. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel or trying to just make friends for the sake of creating a platform. Like, we're genuinely just trying to reach out to people we care about and say, hey, hopefully you could get behind this too, because we care about it and we think you'll care about it too. And I think when you walk into any moment where you're in a Cedar session room, you feel that. You already feel the history that people have with one another. And right off the bat, people have already said, man, it's like this has been around forever and we just found it.
Yeah, I like it. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Let me just give people a feel, because people are going, well, let me ask, why Cedar Session? How did that name come? Give me the impact of that name.
So 2 years ago, like right before COVID hit, Mackenzie and I went to a leadership summit at Church of the Highlands, and they had read
In Alabama.
In Alabama,
I know the church well.
Yeah, beautiful,
Very well. Huge church,
beautiful.
multi-campus church.
I'm telling you, like
The guy's a rocket. I mean, he's a genius.
if I could go anywhere, Chris Hodges. If I could go
Chris
anywhere,
Hodges, yeah.
I'd go to your church.
We've done a lot of Chris Hodges studies here. I've used his stuff. It's very teachable. It's very transferable.
Right.
He's very transferable.
Yeah, so we went.
Not
to,
everybody's transferable. People sometimes do their own thing. You can't repeat
Yeah.
it. It's their anointing.
Right.
His stuff is very passable.
and
Yeah,
that's what
it's awesome.
that's what I love, because when we went to that leadership summit, it felt very much like it was our thing, and that's what I loved about that. When we showed up, we were genuinely just trying to soak in as much as we can, because we were running a youth group, and it was running somewhere around like 70 plus, right? So we had 70 students, a team of 13. We were trying to encourage our team, and we came back really motivated. COVID hit. We lost our job.
Yeah.
We had all this motivation, and the one thing that I was holding on to was that verse, was Psalms 92, 12 through 15, I believe it is. And it talks about being planted in the house of the Lord, and even in old age you'll bear fruit. And it was one of these things that for me, it was like, I'm not done with the church, and I want people to get excited about church. Mm-hmm. And so I wanted to create that space. And I think I left Ben, we'd moved back, and I keep telling Ben, like, look back at that Marco Polo, because that Marco Polo is what, like, I just like poured it all out. And that's where Cedar Sessions started, was that conversation. I said, I need to create a space where something's authentic, it's real, it's not just a reason to give another platform or to write another song. Like, it's actually something that we care about. Yeah. And that's when I came up and I had the idea. It hit my head. It was like Cedar Sessions. I was like, wow, that came a lot quicker than I thought. I sat on it for a year, lost another job, started working with growing media and advertising and marketing. And it was that year that I was like, that was last year. I was like, I got to do this. It's still on my mind.
Wow, that's pretty good. Hey, I'm gonna get your family stuff in here in a second, because that was in the plan. I didn't mean to dig deep. But while we're on Cedar Sessions, you're gonna see a lot more about this. If you're watching on the doc, you're gonna see a lot more about Cedar Sessions. We're gonna make sure you get to experience that. We'll do that at each episode. We're gonna run a video from that Lucas has done from the different Cedar Sessions, so people can experience that. You can't really experience it, I guess, unless you come there. We were here for the first one that was here, and Beth and I were in the middle of a massive, we were cooking something for some sort of massive multi-person event. And so we were just in full blown barbecue mode. And y'all were in here doing it while I was doing it. We were wrapping up a multi-day barbecue cook for this big event. And I was able to pause a little bit and just sit outside the sanctuary and just kind of fill my tank a bit. And just wanted to go in. I was afraid if I went in, I'd lose myself and I wouldn't show up at the barbecue
You would
event.
never leave.
Yeah, I know. But I could see that amongst people from the outside. So I can see the power of that. Let me show you a clip here, guys. I'm going to bring this up. Lucas, we got a little video here for 1 minute. This is on their Facebook site, I think. It was produced by somebody on their team. And I think it'll give you a little bit of feel of what's happening on. And I think this is from the one at Destiny Center.
Are you with me tonight? Are you ready to give him the praise he's worthy of? Are you ready to give him the attention he deserves? Are you ready to pour out the worship that he shown is worthy of? No situation, no circumstance. Nothing could ever keep us from you. And nothing could ever keep you want. I think that's what we all want.
Yeah.
It's for you to walk out with something bigger than yourself, and that's Him.
That's pretty good. That's just a sample of that. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was going to say that's phenomenal because, I mean, we're really not trying to overhype what is already there.
No, you don't have to. It's
That's what
real.
I love about it.
Yeah,
and honestly, Ben brought up a really good thing that I kind of skipped out. When we think of the term cedars, I did a little bit of studying on it, and really the way scriptures talks about cedars is that they were a defense for the city. And so for me, creating this space was really to lift up people who would be willing to say, I'll partner with God to defend our city in worship.
Cedars were considered strong. They were towers. They were part of the refuge. They were the bulwark, so to speak.
You could correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that the temple that David built,
It was cedar.
It was cedar.
Yeah.
And
Brought from the plains of Lebanon, which are the greatest forests ever.
It was like the most incredible thing that really God was just speaking to me.
It's a word that what people don't know. Cedar preserves too, because like mothball, moth closets they'll do with cedar.
Right.
Cedar not just is a hardwood, but it protects from rot and decay, and it's a preservative. It's an everlasting thing.
And it's so indicative of that verse in Psalms 92.
Yes.
Is that even in old age,
Yeah,
I will always dwell in your
planted.
house.
That's a solid thing. The whole house was built. Everything in the temple was cedar, and it was lined over that with gold. Gold or silver. So, very well said. Well, we're going to come back to that because that's going to be main focus throughout all this. Is that? But let's get into your family. Let me just ask real quick. Are you married? Are you single? Are you available? Are you dating?
I am so in love with my wife. I love being married.
Look at this. This is a great picture here.
Oh my
I like that. All right, and that's great.
I used to say this phrase, make life nothing less than an endless adventure.
Yeah.
And I believe that began when I married my wife.
And your partner here, Mackenzie, you guys have been, how long you been married now?
We're going on 3 years.
3 years. Praise God. You
In July.
got a child?
We do.
Oh.
Yes.
We started the podcast off by praying for
Love
the
her.
podcast and praying for the breakfast this morning. So tell us about your baby.
Yeah, so she just turned 5 months, and she is
5 months.
so strong.
And currently occupied.
Yeah.
Currently occupied. That's
occupied.
okay. No, that's okay.
So-
That's good. It's cool.
But she is, I don't know, Mac. I mean, you could talk more about her. You
She's
spend every day with her.
literally perfect.
What's her name?
Rosalie Isabella.
Rosalie
Yes.
Isabella. That's a Southern name.
Yeah. Daniel
Remember when I said I'm native to Southern?
Yeah, it's a Southern name. Well, Southern
actually picked
Southern
it.
people. I'm from the South, from Memphis. Southern people have names long enough that you have to have an appendage on the license that rolls out.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
They have big middle names, big pretty
Yeah.
names. Rosalie Isabella.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like I guess you could say a family name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because his mom's name, originally, it was Rosa.
Rosa.
So Rosalie, and then her middle name is Isabel.
Isabella.
That's cool.
Isabel.
Honey, you like that name? That's a good
Right,
name.
Isabel.
Yeah, I love it. Beth
Yeah.
loves it. I knew she was going to like that. That's a quality name.
Yeah.
Quality name. You guys
So.
are great. I've just been marveled at watching the Lopez's become domesticated over the last few years. The different ones
Yeah.
getting married. Every one of you have been upgraded by your wives.
Oh,
and it's
for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. Mackenzie, where are you from?
So I basically grew up in Southern Illinois, but I was born in Jackson, Mississippi.
Oh, that's why you got a
So,
Southern name.
yes.
That explains. I'm from Memphis. That explains it. My family's all from
Yeah.
here, but yeah. So you're a Jackson girl.
Yes, so my mom's side of the family is from Mississippi. My
Okay.
dad is actually from Southern Illinois. My parents met at a Bible college in Jackson,
Okay.
which is how they met and got married.
Very,
So
very cool.
yeah, lived there for a few years, beginning of my life, and then we moved to Southern Illinois. So
Well, fantastic. Yeah, I just see
I'm the
nothing.
luckiest.
You're very good.
Never knew I would fall in love with a Mississippi girl.
Mississippi girl with lots of S's and I's.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes.
P's. M-I-double-S-double-I, no P. Yeah, we have family in Mississippi now too. So we spent a lot of time in Mississippi over the last 3 or 4 months with our daughter.
I've gotten Daniel to really like it.
I love it.
Yeah, it gets hot down there though. It gets boogery hot though.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah, as you get down to Jackson, you get a little more. The tea gets a little thicker.
Yeah.
You know, you see more fried green tomatoes and stuff like that. You know, Memphis is a
Boiled
little
peanuts.
different. Boiled peanuts.
Oh,
Yeah, you start seeing the
those are the
soil
best.
changes down there a little bit.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Boiled.
Boiled peanuts.
So tell us, Daniel, a little bit about your life in Christ. How did you come to life in Christ? Were you born saved? Did you go out and cut yourself and get tattoos?
Why did I imagine just me being born and immediately a priest was standing there?
How did you get
Salvation.
I know your dad. Okay, we know your dad's a preacher.
Yes.
So I know that. We've talked about that with Israel. That doesn't necessarily mean just because your dad's a preacher doesn't mean you're saved.
Yeah.
I mean, my kids all had to give their life to Christ. So how did you find Christ? Did you find him in Southern California and run away? Did you find him here? Tell us about your Christ story.
I think when I was 13. I mean, I knew of church. I was about church. But we went to public school. So it's not that I had faith and I didn't have faith. It was just like I was just trying to be a kid.
Yeah.
And I think I was just trying to experience life for what it was. And I was trying to be on the sports teams and just trying to have a good time growing up. It wasn't until I moved to Southern Illinois that I thought about my faith and really questioned whether or not it was real. And by the time I was a senior in high school, I was pumped for God. I was getting ready to go to a Christian school. I won't say which one it is. I fell into a really dark place.
Yeah.
My life was overwhelmed with pornography and bad relationships, toxic relationships. I was dating women. I picked up drinking at a Christian school.
Yeah.
So-
That you think that's not possible, but Beth and I will be the first to tell you right now. Our kids have attended schools. I attended Christian schools. They can be the very worst.
So
Yeah.
it was really bad for
Yeah.
my faith because I was
Yeah.
convinced
It pops your bubble.
Christians were the reason I didn't believe in God.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so
The Pharisees, the Sadducees side of it. Yeah.
So I proceeded to get involved with like metal bands and really started drumming more, but really for the world, as you would say. And I really didn't care. I was very reckless, and I did a lot of damage to a lot of people because of my selfish ways and a lot of pride that I had in my heart. It wasn't until I started going to Love and Truth. I think I told this story at the last Cedar session where I met Pastor Bob, and probably the third service that I went to, I was really just going because my siblings were there. I'd moved back from the Christian school. But it was the third service that I was there. I was really angry, and I was convinced no pastor could ever say anything. I've heard it all. Grew up in church.
Yeah, I understand that. That makes sense. You did.
Yeah, Pastor Bob, I guess something had happened, came off the altar, and he said, "I'm not strong enough. I need you guys to pray for me." And there was something about that just kind of cracked my reality because I was very angry, and I just wanted to hear him say what he's supposed to say. And so as I got more connected, one of the pastors, Pastor Philip Meek, had come to speak, points at me like middle of the sermon. I'm sitting third row, not paying attention, don't even remember what he's talking about, points at me and says, "The Lord just told me you're not going anywhere. You're supposed to stay right here." And I'm like, literally felt shivers down my spine. And I'm like, okay, I'm not going anywhere. But what really did the thing for me was I needed money. I wasn't in the best place, and I was trying to figure out how to progress. My parents had gotten a divorce, and a lot of things had happened. So I was in a challenging place mentally, spiritually. And Pastor Bob, I needed money. He asked me to come do a job, come cut the hedges. He'd give me some money. So I did that, and Pastor Bob said, "Hey, go grab the cutters from the truck." So I went and grabbed them and proceeded to talk with me and just kind of encourage me. But he didn't hand me the cutters. He continued cutting every shrub at the church. We get to the end. He says, "I'm still going to pay you.
That's good.
Don't worry about it. Just pick up the shrubs and throw it away," which wasn't much. But we spent an hour and a half to almost 2 hours doing that. And he was just talking to me, and I'm watching him. He's not obviously the most fit person, so he was kind of struggling. but that changed my life. I fell apart, and I said, if there's anything I want to be that.
That's good.
Where I literally serve people because I care about who they are and I believe in who they're becoming.
That's right.
And still give them the reward and them the benefit. That just spoke. That was the gospel for me, right? Wow. Jesus sent his son for our benefit, for us to get the reward of salvation, and that just ruined me. I said, okay, whatever it is, whatever I need to do, I'm all in. Wow. And that led me to eventually, really, I took a risk. I said, I'm not working. I'm going to be at the church. So this was the point that really changed everything when it came to ministry. Was I would show up to the church and pastor was only paying me $50 a week. And I was creating the announcement video. So I was doing a job, kind of working, but I had no idea what that would lead to. And I quit. I was not doing anything else. I gave up photography and all that kind of stuff. And I would do the photography to really make ends meet. But it was there that I realized that no one could ever pay me to love God and to serve God with everything I had. I'm not doing it for a paycheck.
Right.
And that gave us the opportunity to go to Jackson, Tennessee and serve under Pastor Eddie, which was one of the most beautiful experiences we ever had. Challenging, but it was beautiful. Very cool. So that kind of is my salvation story.
No, it's great. It's very powerful.
But that was it. That was it.
It was the gospel in context.
It was just
Mackenzie.
kindness,
Are you a naturally born Christian, or do you have a story you want to share?
I mean, I guess because my father's also a pastor at Destiny Center, which is where the last Cedar session was at, and he wasn't a pastor.
Double preacher kids, golly.
He wasn't a pastor my whole life. I think it was like when I was probably like 10 is when he actually became a pastor or assistant pastor, and then they started their own church 10 years ago now. Mm-hmm. So, growing up, pastor's kid, you have Jesus automatically kind of thing, just because you're a pastor's kid. And so, growing up, I didn't really think anything of it, kind of like Daniel was saying. It's just like it was there. And then I would say probably in like junior high and high school is where I feel like I really was like, okay, this is like something serious. And in high school, like I was never a crazy kid. Like
you do a bunch of crazy stuff?
I did stuff in high school, but I was never like insane. And so I was probably my junior year of high school. I was in this relationship with this guy, and it was just terrible. Basically, I felt like I was worthless, like, just doing things that I didn't want to do, but I felt like I had to do. And so I was tired, and I was like, I cannot do this anymore. Like, I deserve better than this. And so I ended it with the guy, and I was like, that is when I like really like was like, Lord, like I need you in my life. And it was just finding the worth in him. And I was like, I'm done. I'm going to work on me. I'm going to really build my relationship with the Lord. And it's funny because when I decided to do that, I was about to graduate high school. And that's actually when I met Daniel, was when I was like, I'm not going to get in a relationship. Here comes Daniel.
Yeah, I know the feeling like that.
And so that's kind of like when me and Daniel first started dating, was when it was like, because he challenged me like hardcore. Like if I didn't have him in that moment and in that season of my life, I don't know where I would be. Because
that's really good.
Yeah.
I just didn't want to settle. I think that's where I was, because that was like we met on the tail end where I had, that's all I was doing. Like there was so much judgment on my life because people didn't understand that I was willing to quit my job and just show up to the church for $50 a week.
To be faithful and just see what God's going to do.
And so when we met, I was like, look, you're either in or you're not. And if it's not all about God, I don't want to be a part of this relationship.
I think there's two good pieces in there. My mentor, Fred Bishop, I talk about him a lot. When he's got a book called The Road to Ground Zero, which I have copies of in my office. I'd be glad to give you a copy. But it talks about when you get ready to really find your ministry, not somebody you've worked for, you're not your dad's, not your dad's, not somebody else's ministry. When you go to find your ministry, you have to find your ground zero. And to find your ground zero, when he got led into that, he writes in his book that Sammy Tippett was a very popular prophet, world evangelist down in Texas area, and he basically got his stuff and said, I want to go work for you. And you just go work beside somebody till that anointing comes. He was his Bob, so to speak. And Sammy didn't need him. He was getting ready to go do a crusade overseas. And he says, I'll just go and carry your luggage. And he literally went and traveled with him for the first couple of years, just carried luggage and stuff, just did stuff until eventually somebody said, well, I need somebody for that. And I'm tired. Well, Fred, you go. He'd been with him long enough that the anointing was transferring.
Right.
And there was a time later on, though, when, Fred said, he came to the point and said, this is where I'm now to go. And what I've learned in these principles, now I'm ready to go execute.
Right.
And sometimes you just have to have that time where you just kind of peel off the layers and you carry somebody else's luggage for a while and you're just faithful.
Yeah.
And that's really cool. Really cool. I knelt down with the Lord on a New Year's Eve service and told the Lord I wasn't going to date anybody for a year, and I got married in August. and I told the Lord I wasn't going to date anybody because I just wanted to just give myself to him like that, similar, And then at the same time, Shane, his son, who's my best friend, he knelt down next to me. He was preaching that day. And he's not chatty with the Lord type stuff. He knelt down and said, the Lord told me you'll be married before this year's out. I said, well, I'm down here telling the Lord I'm dedicating this year to being celibate and not dating anybody. And he said, well, mine says, thus saith the Lord. What does yours say? I said, mine says, thus saith Troy. I met her the next month and we were engaged by Easter and married by August.
That's incredible.
So it was, it's amazing when I think the Lord sometimes on some of us, he just needs to see us make that declaration.
Yeah.
And maybe he was merciful. He said, yeah, Troy's made that declaration. He's going to be miserable.
Yeah.
But I know he's made it in his heart. You made that. You could see finally. You made that change. I think the Lord, I think he knows when we switch.
Yeah.
For
sure.
And he goes, you're on a different plane now. And then he can begin to add the ingredients that bring you into the man or the woman of God you're going to be. Hey, let me ask you a question. I'll get into the heart of this. We got a few minutes left here. We just got a few minutes. But the heart of this first section, the heart of the whole series is Ben and I just have some ideas that the heart of worship, we want to get at the heart of worship, and we'll get deeper into this because the Cedar sessions you're doing, they really fit with what God's showing us to do. I know there's going to be some things that we're going to be doing in Community Faith Church and partner with the larger faith community. I know the Cedar sessions are providing an anointing toward that, and we'll get to that in the next because I really see there is a work in connection. There's a work in camaraderie of other believers that want to see God do amazing things here that are real and authentic, that break down denominational barriers, church barriers, and just lift up the church. So, because I know from how you guys and we all operate, really none of us really care what church you go to. We just all go to the same church. Everybody shares like it's one in common, and we're just all in the same battle together. We just happen to be stationed at different camps.
Right.
And I love that about what I'm seeing. And people that can't get with that, well, they're going to have to get with that because Jesus has lots of flocks. They got to get with that. But we're going to get into that deeper. But I want to ask you the question that kind of leads off the rest of this episode. At the core of our discussion for you, what for you, Daniel, is the heart of worship? For you, the core heart of worship. When you say getting back to God or getting back to the heart of worship, how do you define that for yourself? And how do you see that as you build the Cedar session model? What is your heart of worship?
There was a moment when, I'm going to answer that with a story. There was a moment before I moved to that Christian college where we were living in this house and I lived in the basement is where my room was. And I remember turning on this candle, and I don't know what it was about. I just wanted to pray. I just wanted to seek him. And it was one of the most powerful experiences I've ever had in my life where I just opened up the Psalms and began like speaking the Psalms. Mm-hmm. And it was like I was I don't even remember how long I was down there. All I could remember were the tears coming out of my face, mm-hmm. and I was just on the ground. And it was like, for me, worship was about just putting my eyes on him and forgetting that anything else really mattered. That I could spend hours and hours and hours and realize that the only satisfaction I could really get in my life, true success, was being before him on my face. And that for me, like that changed everything. Like I asked Pastor Bob to do a Cedar Sessions type thing. It's because I've had this thought in my head. You know, I'd seen guys like Desperation Band. You know, they did some acoustic things. There was House Fires. You know, so many people who have done what we've done, but at the core of it, it was like it wasn't the music that created that. It wasn't the music that created
That's okay. We'll blame the baby.
Yeah.
It was the baby.
It wasn't the music that did
The
that.
coffee.
Me too.
It was the personal encounter that people had that they brought corporately to the table. And so I think the presence of God is literally inside of all of us. And we know that. It's just when you bring that personal encounter in front of other people and you offer that to the Lord together, it's really a life surrendered. Worship is just, I'm all in right now. It's not my yes in tomorrow. It's my yes for right now. And so that for me is like my obedience to God is my highest form of worship. Yeah. So that's kind of what that is for me.
I like that. Worship for you is I'm all in, putting my eyes on him to the point that nothing else really matters. Yeah. That's a really good focus point. And that would explain the focus of the Cedar session. So there's a circleness, there's a connectedness, and there's just a complete focus. I can really see that. That's really intense.
Yeah, my dad always challenges me, and he always says that I'm kind of the son that's not afraid to do anything. And I don't agree. I don't think I'm the only son, because I know my brothers, they're fearless. But there was just something about watching my dad again and again never give up on his faith.
Yeah, but cutting ground, I mean, I think I see you as a ground cutter. I mean, everybody has their different roles and stuff, you know.
I just don't want to settle.
Yeah, me neither.
If it's not with everything, then why do you say it's with everything?
I'll chunk everything not to settle. I hate settling. Well, let me ask you as we get ready to wrap this up. What would be, 1, 2, 3, maybe no more than 5, but really a couple, 2 or 3. What are your base principles or your keys to having worship that connects with the heart of God? What are the things, if you're getting ready to, I'm not saying play the game of worship, but if you're getting ready to get into worship, like you're going to compete, you're going to get before God in a football game, what is the thing you need to strap on and get set? What's happening in the locker room for you to get ready to get out there and get in that embodiment connection with God? What are those things that you think are core to set the stage?
I think I'll summarize that in a phrase. And if you love God, you're going to love people, and those people will learn to love God. Yeah. For me, that's it. It's loving God, loving people.
Yeah.
And when you share that and create a space for that, people are going to fall in love with God.
Mm-hmm. And create a space, though. Yeah, you got to create that space where you can allow it, because a lot of people love God and love people, but it doesn't really reflect anywhere because it's not shown, or there's not a place to apply it.
That's the cool part, is creating a space isn't the same for everybody.
Right.
Creating a space could mean opening up your home and having dinner.
No, absolutely.
Creating a space could mean, hey, I made that phone call. Creating a space could be, I sent that text message. Creating a space could be anything, even jumping on a video game and hanging out with friends on Twitch. It could be anything. It's just a matter of being intentional, which is our word for this year. Being very intentional and saying, I'm doing this because I want to have a relationship with that person so that I can encourage them to seek or know God more.
Yeah, one of the things that I've got, we're going to go much deeper in the next couple episodes, and we've started this. We're getting at the heart of this, and I think these are great foundation stones, and we'll dig into this. But one of the things that's been on my heart for probably 5 years now is to create. When I came back here to Southern Illinois, 13 years ago, they were still talking in the Ministerial Alliance about how do we deal with people that are hungry and need a meal and need help. And the exact same conversation was going on when I left here being the Energy Cult pastor in 1989. The same conversation, the same conversation was happening. It was like I left the meeting and the conversation was exactly where it was, to the point that two of the pastors, Steve McEwen and then Father Ken, he's with the Lord now, they were in the meeting. There was another pastor that had been there when I was there the first time. So there were 3 other pastors that were there in the last meeting I attended. I remember asking a question in my last Ministerial Alliance meeting, and I looked at these guys, and I'm back for the first time in over 20 years, and they're reading off what the concerns are. And I looked at McEwen and I said, "You're kidding me." He said, "Yes, we're having the exact same conversation at your last meeting." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We were both youth pastors almost just off that. I said, "You've got to be kidding. We got to solve this problem. This is ridiculous." You know, and I'd come from two communities where we had started Highland Area Christian Service Ministry in Pawnee. We had started a feeding program. And I said, "Guys, you just got to do it." You know, we did it. I did it twice. We put all these guys in the car. We went up and saw it the next week. I took them all in the van. I showed them two ministries we'd created over the last 20 years that were doing a magnificent job. And they came back and said, "Well, let's do this." And they said, "How do we do it?" I said, "We got to raise some money." That led to First Family Fun Day.
That's cool.
And so
That's awesome.
I said, "Make me total dictator and absolute monarch, and I'll do it." You know, you just do what and I did. And I said,
She's like, oh.
total dictator and absolute monarch, and I did. And we raised the money and we started and out of that came a service ministry that nobody has to go hungry around here.
Yeah.
About 4 or 5 years ago, I began to think, man, out of the relationships we've developed, out of what we've seen come out of Community of Faith here and you guys, I began to get a hunger to see that go beyond that to doing evangelism together, to doing Christ together. And while the barriers between our churches are very small these days, back in the day they were high. You know, this denomination, that denomination. We don't. Who cares? We loan everything we got to everybody. And I mean, we've had churches start out of our church here. Journey started here. I don't care. I'm a church planner. I don't care who gets the kingdom. I don't care where they end up in church. That's why we'll promote Love and Truth in a split second here.
Yeah,
I have sent people to Love and Truth because for years they were doing better recovery ministry than I ever knew how to do. So I really have got a heart desire right now to create the church in our area in a way in which it's fresh, where we can get pastors working with worship leaders, not necessarily me working with Ben, but could be me working with you or one of the other pastors. We've got a real desire to create space out there to get the dischurched, the unchurched, the de-churched, the frustrated with church back in and hearing the gospel fresh. And if in the process they go, "Well, I like Pastor Troy," or "I like the worship of Dustin Griffith," or "I like the worship," their church meets at this time. Go see them.
Yeah.
Just I've got a desire to create some safe space, some place to get people connected again, and we're working on that here. And I know I've been talking to you guys about it. I think it's very similar to what you're hearing in the Cedar session. We need some authentic. We need some real place again.
Yeah.
And I think I think in due season we're seeing a revival start to happen in Southern Illinois,
Definitely.
and it's happened amongst the men and women of God, the collective people called by His name. And I think it's people that are willing to put their eyes on Him and get off their own stuff.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited about that. Being very intentional. I think God is going to step by step. We're going to see revival, really, really major revival here. And I think the Cedar sessions are a huge precursor to that. They have opened the way to making this possible. And as I've talked to other pastors about working with me to do this collective church, I point to them and say, the worship pastors are already on board because they're already doing Cedar sessions. I do. I tell them, and we're not embarrassed, but I think you guys are motivating us. So we're going to talk more about that in our next couple of sessions. Daniel, thank you very much.
Yeah.
And Mackenzie, thank you so much for being here.
Ben, you're the best for being
I really
quiet.
appreciate it. We're going to be back in just a moment.
I love you.
With another good round here. But I just want to remind you can check out Cedar Sessions. Go to Facebook at Cedar Sessions and check them out. Go find their stuff. Is your stuff out on YouTube? Is that where it is?
Yeah, it's on
Yes.
YouTube.
Go to YouTube and find it. Hit like,
and
subscribe. They're going to get monetized. If they get monetized, I'm going
Yes.
to. Okay, hey, we at On the Dock will ride their curtails.
Let's
To
go.
get there.
That's
yeah,
fine.
Yeah, we'll be back in part 11. We'll be featuring Daniel Lopez in another round here. We'll be going much deeper. You do not want to miss this. It's going to be incredible. And do check out those Cedar sessions. So
I love
thank
you
you for
guys.
joining us. Go to onthedock.org. You
we
can
see
find
you.
out all about us there. You can write email us at info@onthedock.org. And don't forget, we have 7 different platforms. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4,
that
5,
baby
6,
has
7,
something to say.
8 different platforms. Hello, baby. Hello, Rosalie Isabella. How are you doing? She's done great on the show, hasn't she? Hit subscribe, like, notify, and all those things, and tell other people about us, and check out our Patreon site, become a partner or a sponsor. If you don't have a church home to go to, we are always welcome to come out to Community Faith Church, COFTV.com. You can check us out on our website there as well. You can go to Love and Truth as well. We'd love you to just get in church someplace.
Get in church.
And frankly, you can go to all of them, 9, 10, 11. You just kind of hang around. It'd just be great. We'd
Get
love to
plugged in.
Get plugged in
Yes.
and get to a Cedar session.
Stop making excuses.
Yeah, stop making excuses. So we're going to wrap up this episode. It's been great. We'll be back in the next one. But as we go out on this, our executive producer, Lucas, has prepared an incredible Cedar session experience for you. So as we wrap up and as we sign off at On the Dock, get ready to enjoy the Cedar session and find the next one and come be a part of it. If God's leading you there, it's going to be a great experience. So thank you so much, Daniel. And
Thank
this
you,
Cedar
Pastor
session
Troy.
is coming to you right now.
mine. 'Cause I know there is peace within your presence. I speak Jesus.
I just wanna speak the name of Jesus till every dark addiction starts to break, declaring there is hope and there is freedom. I speak Jesus. Your name is power, your name is healing, your name is life. Break every stronghold, shine through the shadows, burn like a fire. I just wanna speak the name of Jesus over fear and all anxiety, till every soul is captive by depression. I speak Jesus. Your name is power, your name is healing, your name is life. Break every stronghold, shine through the shadows, burn like a fire. Your name is power, your name is healing, your name is life. Yes, it is. Break every stronghold, shine through the shadows, burn like a fire. Your name is power, your name is healing, your name is life. Break every stronghold, shine through the shadows, burn like a fire. Shout Jesus from the mountains, Jesus in the streets, Jesus in the darkness over every enemy, Jesus for my family. I speak the holy name, Jesus. Shout Jesus from the mountains, Jesus in the streets, Jesus in the dark.
unfortunately our last song. And I just really, really feel like you have got to sing the bridge over your family, over your church, over your city. I'm tired of seeing the enemy just take advantage of the church. I'm tired of seeing the church fall underneath the feet of the lies that this world is going through. I'm ready to see the kingdom of God on top once again. I'm ready to see the church shining like never before. I'm losing my voice and I don't really care, 'cause I'm ready. So we're gonna sing this bridge again. And I want you to sing it with everything you got.